Alrighty. And we are streaming live from the spiritual world. Alright, let me mute everybody. Definitely have to do that. Okay, you're all muted. All right. Let's see. All right. There we go. So, we're continuing with our Caitanya Bhagavat classes. And first we'll chant something. A few more days in Kartik. And then we're finished with Kartik. Okay. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Taruni Mandala Maite Taruni Mandala Maite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Damodari Varlana Vese Alinis Kutavana Vipine Shay Damodari Varlana Vese Alinis Kutavana Vipine Shay Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Shabandadi Navasasileke Nandita Shaki Kuna Amitavi Shake Shabandadi Navasasileke Nandita Saki Unaramitavi Shake Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Karanam Guru Mai Karna Bharate Sanaka Sanatana Varita Jarite Karunam Guru Mai Karna Bharate Sanaka Sanatana Varita Jarite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Taruni Mandalam Gokula Taruni Mandalam Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad. Paramahansa Paravatikacharya, also Teta, Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charana, Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananda Koti, Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Gijaya Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Kijai Vrindavanam Kijai Maturanam Kijai Jagadada Sami Kijai Yamunamai Kijai Shimati Glasidevi Kijai Samveda Bhakta Vrindigajai Gaur Premananda Hari Haribol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutle Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharni Nivishesha Shinuvadi Paschatadaya Shatarni. So let's read the translation. O Radha, all glories unto you. All glories unto you, beloved of Madhava, object of worship for all the young girls of Gokula. You dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you. You are the controller of Vrindavan, the pleasure groves of Lord Hari. You are a new moon, arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu. You are the friend of Lalita, and your wonderful qualities, friendliness, kindness, and faithfulness to Krishna, endear you to Vishaka. You are an ocean of compassion, and your divine characteristics are described by the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatsana, Sananda, and Sanat Kumara, O Radha. Please be merciful to me, Srila Rupa Goswami Ki Jai. So, now we'll go to the Caitanya Bhagavat. It's more ecstasy today. So, Om Gana Timirandasha Gananjana Shalakya Chakshurun Meritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhaktivinoda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, and let me share the screen. I have so many screens open here. We'll have to figure out. Oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. Beginning with text 77. So we're talking about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's childhood here. Actually, let me just put up this little window on the side here. One second. Okay. Hey Mata Dine Dine Shri Sachinandana Andya Kare Prabhu Angane Brahmana. In this way, Sri Sachinandana eventually began walking in the courtyard of the house. Jinya Kandarpakoti Sarvangera Rupa Chandra Lagai Sada Dekite Se Mukha. The Lord's beautiful form defeated the beauty of millions of cupids. Indeed, even the moon desired to see his face. So the unlimitedly sweet, beautiful face of Sri Gaurasundara defeats the beauty of millions of moons. That is why the moon god personally desires to see the beautiful face of Sri Gaurasundara. So again, commentaries by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And as I mentioned yesterday, some of you weren't there, we may not read all the commentaries because some of them are actually repetitive and quite long. So we'll exercise discrimination. Suvalita mastake chanchara bhalakesha kamala nayana yena gopalera vesha. The Lord's head was decorated with curling locks of hair, and with his lotus eyes he looked just like Gopal. The word suvalita means nicely decorated. The word chanchara means curly. The word Bhalakesha refers to hairs that fall over the forehead. The words Gopalera Vesha mean dressed like Krishna. The body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from the body of Krishna. His external complexion is that of Sri Radhika, and his internal mood is like that of the gopis. Therefore, he was seen in the dress of a cowherd boy. Ajanu lambita bhuja arunadara sakala lakshana yukta vaksha parisara. The Lord's hands reached to his knees. His lips were reddish, his chest was broad, and he was decorated with all other auspicious symptoms. So the word aruna means the color of blood or red. So these are symptoms of a great personality. Not only that, but I don't know if it's going to be described further here, but also the eyes go out quite far to the ears, and they're like lotus petals. That's one of the signs. And the hands, as described here, go down to the knees when one is standing up. Try that, and I'm sure your hands don't go down to your knees. Sahajaya Runagora Deha Manohara Visheshi Angulikara Chadana Sundara. The enchanting golden body of the Lord resembled the color of the rising sun, and his fingers, hands, and lotus feet were all beautifully formed. Balakasvabhave Prabhu Yabe Chale Aya Raktapade Hena Deki Maya Trasa Paya. As the Lord walked around just like a young child, his mother became frightened, thinking that his reddish feet were bleeding. So, since the lotus feet and toes of the Lord looked as red as pomegranate flowers, wow, Sachi Devi feared that the Lord's lotus feet were bleeding. Deki Shachi Jagannatha Padai Vismita Niradana Tatapi Donhe Maha Anandita. Seeing this, Shachimata and Jagannatha Mishra became greatly astonished. Although they were poor, they were always joyful. If a great personality is born in a family, many of his relatives achieve liberation from material existence by his association. This is the belief of God-fearing people. Since Shachi and Jagannatha considered their son a great personality, they expected good fortune in the future as well as liberation. Of course, the liberation that they desired was not the impersonal liberation. They wanted Vaishnava liberation, which means bhakti. Text 84. Kana kani kare done nirjane vasya kona mahapurusha janmila asya. One day, as they sat together in seclusion, they whispered to each other, "Some great personality has taken birth in our family." Heina bushi samsara dukera hailanta janmila amara gari heina gunavanta. Such a qualified person has taken birth in our house. Perhaps our material since such a qualified person has taken birth in our house, perhaps our material desires or distress will come to an end. Emanashishurariti kabunahi shuni niravari nache hase shuni hari dwani. We have never before heard of such behavior in a child. He continually chants, dances, and smiles upon hearing the sound of the holy name. Text 87. Tavat krandanakare prabodhan namane badakari huridwani yavatna shune. Whenever he cries, he is not pacified until he hears the loud chanting of the name of Hari. Ushakala hayele yatakana rigada palake vidyasabe kare sankirtana. In the morning, all the ladies would gather around the child and perform sankirtana. Huri bali narigane deya karatali nache gorasundara balaka kutuhale. As they clapped their hands and chanted the name of Hari, Gaurasundara would enthusiastically dance. Gare gadi yaya prabhu dulaya dhusara uti hase jananira kolera upra. The Lord would become covered with dust as he rolled on the ground, and then he would smile and climb onto the lap of his mother. The words Gada Gadi Aya means rolling on the ground, and the word Dhusara means dust-colored. Heinanga Bangikare Nachi Gora Chandra Dekya Sabara Haya Atula Ananda. Everyone felt incomparable happiness on seeing the various postures that Gora Chandra exhibited as he danced. The word anga bhangi refers to swinging one's hands. Henamate shishubhave hori sankirtana karayena prabhu nahi bhushe kona jana. In this way, no one could understand how the Lord as a child induced others to chant the holy names. In his childhood pastimes, Nimai cleverly induced people to engage in the congregational chanting of the holy names of Hari. Ordinary people could not understand his tricks. Niravadidaya Prabhu Kigare Vakire Parama Chanchalakya Daritena Pare. The Lord constantly ran in and out of the house. He was so restless that no one could catch him. Ekeshvara Bhadira Bhagire Prabhu Yaya Koi Kora Sandeshaya Deke Ta Chaya. Sometimes the Lord would go alone outside the house and ask people for whatever he saw. Roasted paddy, bananas, or sandesh. The word ekeshvara means alone or without anyone else. A corruption of the word ekeshvara, akshvara, is still used around the district of Daya Kali and Chattagrama in Bangladesh. Dekya Prabhoro Rupa Parama Mohana Yejana Nachine Seha Daya Tatakshana. Captivated on seeing the Lord's enchanting form, even strangers gave him whatever he requested. That's called Yata Sukriti. Sabe Sandesha Kala Dehena Prabhure Paya Santoshe Prabhu Aisena Gare. They would give the Lord bananas and sandesh, and he would return home satisfied. Ye sakala stri gane kayena hari nama tasabare ani saba kareda pradana. He then distributed those items to the ladies who chanted the holy names. Balakera Budi Deke Hase Sarva Jana Hate Tali Diahuri Bole Anukshana. Seeing the child's intelligence, everyone laughed and chanted Huri's names while clapping their hands. Ki Vahane, Ki Madhyane, Ki Ratri Sanjaya, Niravadi Bhadira, Bakire Prabhu Yaya. The Lord went out of the house at any time of the day, whether morning, noon, afternoon, or night. Bihani is a Hindi word that is a corrupted form of the Bangladesh word Vibhata, which means in the morning. Nikate vasaye yata bandhuvarga kare pratidina kotuke apane churi kare. He regularly went to the neighboring friends' houses and playfully stole things. Karogare dugapiye karobata kaya handivange yaragare kichu nahi paya. He drank someone's milk, he ate someone else's rice, and he broke the pots if he could not find anything to take. So the word handi is a Hindi word that means vessel or clay pot. Yaragare shishu take tahara kandaya kaya dekile matra utiya pulaya. If there was a child in the house, the Lord made him cry. Oh my God. And if someone saw him, he ran away. Sounds like Krishna's pastimes, because we know that Krishna would go into the houses and pinch the little babies and, pass urine on people's floors when he couldn't get the milk products. So it's a very similar pastimes. And we discussed yesterday why the Lord does that. First of all, he enjoys being cheeky, and he enjoys the suspense and the anxiety about getting caught. And also, we become attracted if we hear about these wonderful childhood pastimes of the Lord. And by becoming attracted to his pastimes, then we lose attraction for mundane activities. Not pastimes, but mundane activities. It's just like if you hear about Krishna dancing with the gopis from the right person, you will lose your desire to be romantic yourself. So, Daiva yoge yadi keha pare dadi bhare tabe tara paye dari kare pari hare. If by chance the Lord was caught, he fell at the person's feet in order to gain release. So you apologize later on. Ebara chadaha more na asiva ara arayadi chudi karun dohai tomara. Please leave me this time. I will not come again. I promise I won't steal again. Dekiya sishura budi sabe vismita. Rushta nahi kaya sabe karena pirita. Seeing the child's intelligence, everyone was astonished. They could not become upset. Rather, they loved him. The word pirita means love. I guess it's similar to the word pretty. Nijaputra haiteo sabe sneha kare darashana matra sarva chitta vritti hore. Everyone showed more affection to him than to their own sons, for the Lord stole everyone's heart just by his presence. The matchless quality of the sweet form of Gaura Krishna, who is the Lord of the Samvit potency, is so powerful that it forcibly attracts all transcendently pure objects. In this regard, one may refer to the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:2-12. So, of course, the Samvit potency is what we call the cognitive potency of the Lord, or sometimes described as the Chit potency. Like you have Sachit Ananda, and you have Sandini, Samvit, and Ladini, which is the same thing. So, Sandini is the existential potency of the Lord, and Samvit is the cognitive, in other words, knowing potency, the knowledge potency of the Lord. And finally, you have the Ladini potency, which is the pleasure potency of the Lord. And the Ladini potency is personified by Srimati Radharani. E mataranga kare vakuntera raya stira nahe ekatani uliye sadaya. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha performed his pastimes as he constantly wandered about. So the words Vaikuntera Raya refers to the king of Vaikuntha, Sri Narayana. Ekadina prabhura dekya dvi chore yukti kare shishu bedaya nagare. One day, two thieves saw the Lord and contemplated, whose child is this, wandering alone in the streets? Kidnapping here. Prabhu Sri Ange Deki Divya Alankara Uribhare Dvichore Chinte Parakara. They saw that the Lord was wearing costly ornaments, and they considered how they could steal them. The word divya means the best, highest, or beautiful. The word hari bari means in order to steal. The word parakara means ways or means. Baba baba bali eka chore laila kole, eta kshana kota chile, ara chora bule. One of the thieves took the Lord in his arms and said, "My dear child." And the other thief said, "Where have you been so long?" In other words, they were just making believe that the child belonged to them, or they knew where the child was supposed to be, or they were friends with the parents of the child. In this way, they were trying to steal the jewels of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and who knows what they might have been planning to do with him afterwards. So, Jat Gare Aisha Bhava Bole Dwi Chore Hasya Bolena Prabhu Chalaya Gare. The thief said, "Come, let us go home." And the Lord smiled and said, "Yes, let us go." The word jat is a corruption of the word jatati, which means immediately. Ate vyate kole kari vichore daya loke bole yarashishu sei layaya. The two thieves hurriedly carried the Lord away as the onlookers considered that they were taking their own son home. Ooh. Arbuda loka keva kare chine mahatushta chora alankara darashane. There were millions of people in Navadvip, so who could recognize everyone? The thieves, meanwhile, were greatly satisfied to see the child's ornaments. Kayamane bhave muni nimu tada bhala mate tui chore kayamana kala. One of them thought, "I will take the bangles." And in this way they both dreamt of their soon-to-be-acquired riches. The words tada and bala refer to certain ornaments worn on the hands. The words kaya manakala mean to eat imaginary bananas. Or in other words, to futilely endeavor to achieve something. Oh, that's very interesting. Because in the poem that Prabhupada wrote, called the Vrindavan Bhajan, Prabhupada uses the same expression. Wow. Wow. Now I know where it came from. Because Prabhupada said those who simply sit and chant and think that they're becoming Krishna conscious in Vrindavan, Prabhupada said they're eating the mind's bananas, which is the same thing. Kaya mana kala. That's interesting. That's where Prabhupada's expression came from. It came from the Caitanya Bhagavat. Wow. Kaya mana kala. Wow. That is wonderful. So eating the mind's bananas. In other words, they're just speculating and wasting their time. Dvichara chaleyaya nijamarma stane kandira uparehase yana bhagavane. As the two thieves went towards their destination, the Lord smiled while riding on the thief's shoulder. The word marmastane refers to the secluded solitary destination desired by the thieves. You know, a cave or something like that. Ekajana prabhure sandesha deya kare arajane bole e aelana kare. One of the thieves gave the Lord a piece of sandesh, and the other thief said, "We're almost home." E mata bandya anekadure haya hita yata aptak jana chahiya vidaya. In this way the thieves deceived the Lord. As they took him far away, the Lord's relatives began to search for him. So the word bandya comes from the root banda, which means deceiving, cheating, or hiding. The word Chahiya means tracing or searching. Kaya kaya bole Aisa Aisa Vishwambara Kaya dake nimai Kariya Uchaswara. Someone called, "Come, Vishwambar, come." Someone else loudly called, "Nimai, Nimai." Parama Vyakula Hailena Savajana Jalapina Yena Hoya Matsyera Shivana. They all became overwhelmed like a fish out of water. Sabe Sarvabhave Laila Govinda Sharanha Prabhulala Yaya Chora Apana Bhavana. Everyone took full shelter of Lord Govinda as the thieves took the Lord towards their house. We're going to find out what happens with the thieves. Vaishnavi Maya Maya Chorapata Nahichine Jagannatha Gare Aila Nijagara Yane. Being influenced by the Lord's illusory energy, the thieves lost their way and returned to the house of Jagannath Mishra while thinking that they had returned to their own home. The word Vaishnavi Maya refers to Vishnu's insurmountable illusory energy which covers and throws the living entity. So those are the two potencies of the illusory energy. She throws you into illusion, and then she covers you so you don't realize you're an illusion. Keeping and throwing. Choradeke alana nijamarma stane alankara harite haila savadhane. When the thieves thought that they had returned to their own house, they prepared to steal the Lord's ornaments. Because their motive was to steal the ornaments, the thieves became anxious, impatient, and cautious. Chorabole namabapa alana gare prabhu pole haya haya namao satvara. One of them said, "Please get down, my dear child, we have reached home." The Lord replied, "Yes, yes, put me down quickly." Hoya, hoya means yes, yes. Yekane sakalagane mishra jagannatha Vishada Bhavena Sabe Mate Diyahata. Meanwhile, Jagannath Mishra and his associates held their heads in lamentation. So the words Vishada Bhavena means deep lamentation. Maya Mukta Chora Takure Re Se Stane Skanda Haite Namaila Nijagara Yane. The thieves, illusioned by Maya, set the child down at that very place while considering it was their own house. Namile matra prabhu gila pitri kole Mahananda kari sabe hari hari bole. The Lord immediately went to the lap of his father, and everyone chanted the name of Hari in great joy. Sabhara haila anirvat shaneya ranga prana asi dekera haila yena sangha. The people's condition was beyond description. It was as if their lives returned to their bodies. The word anga means happiness or jubilation. Apanara gara nahi deke dwi chure kota asiyachi kichu chinite napare. The thieves then realized that it was not their house, but they could not understand where they were. Gandagole kebakare avadana kare charidige chahi chora palaila dare. In the middle of the commotion, no one saw what had happened. Thus, undetected, the thieves ran away in fear. The word avadhana means aim, sight, or search. Parama avaduta Dwi chora mane gane. Chora bole. Bhilaki vadila kona jane. Both the thieves thought, how strange. One of them said, did someone perform some magic on us? What to speak of stealing the Lord's ornaments? Under the influence of the illusory energy, the thieves returned the Lord to his own house. When they understood where they were, they immediately ran away to their own place, and after carefully considering their foolishness and what had happened, they were struck with wonder. The word Ebhelaki is a combination of bul and kriti and means magic, witchcraft, or cheating. Chandi rakilena haji bole tui chore shusta haya dui chora kolakuli kare. They both concluded, Goddess Chandi has saved us today. Then after they regained their composure, they embraced each other. Or they were relieved, obviously. In this verse, the words Chandi Rakilena means our worshipful goddess Chandi has protected us today. Paramarte Dvichora Mahavakyavan Narayana Yaraskande Karila Utana. In reality, the two thieves were most fortunate they had carried the Supreme Personality of Godhead on their shoulders. The word Paramarte means in truth or factually. I would think it would mean also. Para means the topmost interest or good fortune. Anyway, Paramarte, I would think it. Paramati, but Mahabhagyavan means most fortunate too, Paramarte. Anyway, the good fortune of the two thieves is indescribable because thousands of spiritual practitioners engaged in thousands of spiritual practices cannot achieve the service of the Lord, which is rarely attained even by Lord Brahma. Yet in spite of traveling the sinful road of thievery, due to previous piety, the two thieves carry the Supreme Lord, Gaura Narayan, on their shoulders. In other words, they must have done something in the past to deserve that. The words Karila Utana meaning climbed upon or seated on. Eta sarva gane mane karena vichara ke anila deha vostra shire banditara. In the meantime, everyone thought, who brought him back? Tie some new cloth on his head as a gift. So in other words, they wanted to express their appreciation for the people who brought him back. As the person who recovers his lost treasure desires to unconditionally reward the finder of the treasure, the elder persons who felt intense distress in the absence of Vishwambara now desire to reward and honor with a turban the person who had mitigated their distress by returning Nimai. Keha bole dekilana lokadwi jana shishu twi kondike karila gamana. Someone said, I saw two persons come here. They set the child down and then vanished. Ami aninachi kona jana na hibole advuta dekia sabe parilena pole. Since no one said, I brought him, everyone became perplexed. The word pulo is a corruption of the word bula, which means mistake, error, illusion, or loss of intelligence. Sabe dasena bapa keha tanimai ke tumare anila paya kontani. They all asked Nimai, Dear child, please tell us, who brought you here? Where did he find you? Prabhu bole Amigiya chinu ganga tire pataharaya me pedai nagare. The Lord replied, I went to the bank of the Ganges and then lost my way. Tabi dui jana ama kolete kariya kon pate e kane huila aniya. As I was wandering on the street, two strangers took me in their arms and brought me here. Sabi bole mitya kabu nahi shastra vani daive rake shishu vrida anata apane. Everyone said, the statements of the scriptures cannot be false. It is said that children as well as old and helpless people are protected by providence. The word Daive refers to the invisible, omniscient creator, or Vishnu. 140. E mata vichara karina sarva jane Vishnu maya mohe keha tatva nahi jane. In this way, the people considered what had happened, but they could not know the facts due to being illusion by Lord Vishnu's illusory energy. I think that's going to be a long, no, not long. We can read the purport. Some philosophy here. Lord Vishnu is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Sometimes he mercifully manifests before a person and instructs him in transcendental knowledge, and sometimes he bewilders a person with his illusory energy, by which he generally bewilders the demons. The illusory energy is also named Vaishnavi, or Daivi Maya. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Daivi Yesha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Durachya. This divine energy of mind consisting of three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. It is also stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7, 4-5. Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranite Malay Apasya Purusham Purnam Mayam Chatara Pashrayam Yasamahita Jiva Atmanam Tri Gunatmakam Paropi Manute Nartam Tatkritam Chabi Padyate. Thus he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by linking it in devotional service bhakti yoga without any tinge of materialism, and thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. Maya means that which is not. In other words, Maya is that which induces a living entity to try to understand, measure, or achieve satisfaction from a material object with the help of his mental speculation. It is stated, Maya Mugda Jivera Nahi Swata Krishna Jnana. When a living entity is enchanted by the external energy, he cannot revive his original Krishna consciousness independently. So there it is again. Original Krishna consciousness. Stated in so many places. And this statement is made by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His original Krishna consciousness. Revive. Such people are therefore unable to understand the science of the transcendently pure absolute truth, or Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, the three phases of the absolute truth. Mention of the Bhagavatam. Brahmiti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. Okay, so we will end here to take questions. Stop sharing. And allow you to unmute yourselves, or you raise your hands and ask a question. Does anyone have a question?
I have a question, Gurudev.
Yeah.
So here we hear that their intention was to steal.
Yeah.
That was their intention. But then we also see, like it said, well, due to their past pious activities, they got to have the Lord ride on their back. So because they took the Lord on like a joyride, and and gave him sandesh, did they become ultimately purified of their sinful
Oh, of course.
activities?
That's an example, definitely an example of a Gyata Sukriti. I mean, a Gyata Sukriti is a real thing,
It
regardless of what
is.
some people may say. I mean, I just like, even myself, when I heard Prabhupada chanting on the radio, I didn't know what it was, and it woke me up. So just by doing a little devotional service, it really wakes you up, even inadvertently, or wanting something else, or having some other motivation, like a Jamil, for example. There's a perfect example of a Gyata Sukriti, even with Namabas chanting. He was crying out for his son Narayan. He had no intention of actually chanting the Lord's holy name. His intention was to actually cry out for his little son, his baby son, Narayan. So, therefore, what do we learn from this? It's our business to engage people in Krishna consciousness somehow or other. Uh, Not that we should not lie or cheat or steal, but we should understand that when someone takes a book, they may not understand what's in the book. Just by holding the book, just by putting the book on a shelf in their house, just by respecting the book, just by giving the book to someone else, then there's great devotional advancement made. If they hear the holy name from the Sankirtan party, there's great devotional advancement. It actually works. And so here's a practical example of thieves who are actually doing service, giving the Lord a piggyback ride, as we say. So, good question. Who else has a question here? Raise your hand. Someone must have a question. We got 25 people here, so. Question. Does anyone have a question? No? You can also type in the chat window if you have a question. No? If there's no question, we. Oh,
Hare,
okay.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Guru. Please accept our humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Gurudev, I
Hare
have a
Krishna. A
Hare
question.
Krishna. So I have a question from long time. How can we differentiate from compassionate and also not attached to them? Like Bharat Maharaj attached to, he's so compassionate seeing the deer, and then he got attached. First, he was compassionate about the deer, and then he got attached. So, I mean, after coming to Krishna consciousness, we became so compassionate to everyone. But how can we not attach to them? Like, how can? So I'm having hard time that.
That's a good question. Okay, here's the point. That if the attachment is becomes or comes to the point of trying to enjoy the object of attachment, then it's detrimental to devotional service. But if the compassion or attachment comes to the point of simply wanting to help the person become Krishna conscious, connect the person to Krishna, and just not it's not about yourself, it's about the other person. Whereas Bart Maharaj, I mean, I hate to criticize Bart Maharaj, but in this particular case, at least the story goes, he was actually somewhat thinking or motivated by his own pleasure in taking care of the deer. That's mentioned. It's not that he was thinking, oh, the Krishna consciousness of the deer, I'm very attached to the Krishna consciousness of the deer, very attached to the welfare of the deer. He was absorbed in his own emotional satisfaction. So, really, that's the difference between sympathy and empathy, which I teach in my book. Sympathy, or let's give a practical example. Let's say someone is in the hospital and they're experiencing a lot of pain. So here's sympathy. Sympathy would be, oh, I feel real bad for you. So it's about me. It's about me. It's not about them. And empathy would be to try to understand what they're going through and trying to help them, and not to have any self centered ulterior purpose, which is the same thing anyway, not to have one's own purpose. So Bart Maharaj's connection with the deer was to a large extent based upon his own pleasure. And we see this, that we become, quote, compassionate to different living entities that give us pleasure, and there are living entities that don't give us pleasure, and we don't exhibit compassion. In fact, we exhibit something else, animosity towards them. I'll give you an example. Okay. So people have pets, right? Pet, like pet cat, pet dog, and the cat.
Yeah.
Well, let's just talk about cats right now. Okay. Though the
That we
cat is real furry, and you pet it, and it's cute. It purrs. Not exactly like that. I don't know how they do. It sounds like a motor. I mean, when I was young, we had a cat, so I could talk practically about this. And so it's just so cute. You want to hold it. Okay, there's the cat. I feel very loving and compassionate towards the cat. On the other hand, here is a cockroach. Do I feel loving, compassionate towards the cucaracha, as they say in Mexico? They even have a song called La Cucaracha about cockroaches. So anyway, do I feel the same compassion, or do I feel like disgust when I see a cockroach running around? Ooh, disgusting. Let me get my can of Raid. Gotcha. So it's like that. I mean, it's not exactly compassion in a full sense. Like Bart Maharaj wasn't compassionate in that particular instance, or maybe he was towards all living entities, but he was more compassionate to the deer, because the deer is a cute thing. I don't know if any of you have seen deer in person. I have. They are so incredibly cute. I got deer living right near my house. And sometimes I come out in the morning or come in the evening, and there's a cute little baby deer, doe deer, whatever, a deerling. And I'm thinking, oh, it's so cute. And I try to walk very slowly so I don't spook it or don't scare it. So I can see it close up and say, oh, look, isn't that a cute deer? So, and then I have one disciple who hates deer. Why does he hate deer? Because deer keep running into his car at night. So both attitudes are based upon not compassion. You know, we often mistake our attraction for a living entity to be compassion, but it's based to a large extent, in many cases, on what I get from it or from them. So that's the difference. And that was Bart Maharaj. So if we're attached to someone to making them Krishna conscious, no, Krishna Priya likes deer, but there's another Krishna Priya who doesn't. Not Krishna Priya, there's another person like, oh, I guess he's he's using Krishna Priya's name there. So okay. Anyway, so different Krishna Priya. So the point is enjoyment. And so, you know, it's subtly, it appears to be we're compassionate. We're actually just trying to get some enjoyment out of our cat or dog. People like dogs because they're obsequious. They always try to please you. Not always, but sometimes they do. Okay, one more question. Anu, your question.
Hare Krishna
Quick.
Maharaj Ji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaji, one question. So when we are talking about Bharat Maharaj had huge empire. He was a
Yeah,
king and he had opulence. He had entire family. Like he left everything to get into
right.
service of Krishna. Like that
That's right.
kind of austerity. And then after doing such a tough austerity, he got attached to deer. Like this bewilders
Yeah.
mind how. Doing so much tough thing, he was fine. And when it came to attachment with deer, he was still thinking that this is a soul, no? This is a soul that I need to protect. If I don't protect, it will drown. So then how do we
That's,
relate to it?
well, his wanting to protect the deer was a good idea. There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that. But his attachment for his own pleasure was the problem.
Mhm.
It was good that he wanted to protect the deer. How do we protect against that? We stay in the association of Vaishnavas. Because had Bharat Maharaj been with other Vaishnavas, they would have told him he was in Maya.
Mhm. True.
I mean, if I had been with Bharat Maharaj, I would have said Prabhu, or Maharaj, sorry. I would have said, Maharaj, I think you're in a danger zone here.
Mhm.
But because he was alone, that's the lesson we can learn from that particular pastime. That we always stay in the association of Vaishnavas. Prabhupada said, you have many sticks, you put them together, can't be broken. One stick by itself can be broken. And therefore, Maya is very strong, and that's why we need the association of devotees.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have to
Thank you,
end
Maharaj.
now. Thank you for your questions. We'll see everybody tomorrow, hopefully.